Hello and welcome to the Bride Tender podcast. I'm your host, Estee Gordon, and I'm here to tend to the brides like I tend to the bar. So mix yourself a cocktail and let's get ready to discuss all things weddings. So typically, yes, like we definitely tend to the brides, but today we're going to focus on something that we don't usually talk about, which is the grooms. And I'm really excited to be here with Michael Andrews of Michael Andrews Bespoke in Manhattan. And we're going to discuss all the custom items him and his team prepare for our grooms for their special day. So first, I want to say, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm really excited that we get to kind of like talk about something a little different because usually we're talking about all things bride and today will be all things groom. But I know that you have like a few other things that your company does. So we might touch on the bride just a smidge.
Great.
How's everything going for you throughout the pandemic?
It's been slow, as it has been with everybody in our industry, but we're beginning to see things pick up, which is very good. We've been very fortunate in that we've not really been, aside from business-wise, have not been directly affected by it. So everybody's been safe and healthy, and we're glad the shop has been able to stay open.
Yeah, thank God. I know it's so crazy, like what's going on all throughout not just the country but the world, but New York in general. I know you're in Manhattan. I'm from Long Island. I typically work in the city. Is just took such a big hit in 2020 of just so much having to stay closed. So it's good that you were able to stay open throughout this time, and more importantly, that everybody was healthy.
Yeah.
So now, how did Michael Andrews Bespoke like come to be? How did it come to life?
Great question. I'm an ex-mergers and acquisitions lawyer and had to wear a suit and tie to work every day. Started getting my own suits custom made, but I wasn't finding exactly what I wanted. What either the fabric wasn't right, or the quality wasn't right, or the service wasn't right. And I thought to myself, there's really got to be a better way of doing this. And we started the business 14 years ago, and now we're the largest full bespoke tailor in the country, one of the largest luxury custom suiting providers just about anywhere. So
That's pretty cool. It's funny that you said that you were a lawyer beforehand because I tend to notice I have a few friends who are lawyers and they're also like very creative. Like I find that a lot of like the lawyers I know also have this like creative side, which obviously you do as well.
well, I always say that lawyers will do anything they can to stop practicing law. So it might be as much that.
That is so funny. So I've like kind of been seeing that, especially now, a lot of grooms are more expressive in what they wear for their wedding day. It's not just like your typical black tux anymore. People are, branching more out into colors. You might do the navy blue, you might do the gray, you might do the white dinner jacket, black pants. What are some trends that you see happening?
Well, that's exactly right. Guys have begun to figure out that they have some freedom. If you think about it, what the bride is wearing is a costume. If you wore a bridal dress down the street in the middle of the day, everyone would assume you're crazy. You do it on your wedding day, and it's perfectly normal. But that gives people, if you think about it more like a costume, it gives everybody the freedom to do really whatever they want. There's not anything that the bride or that the groom's going to put on that will look, I mean, I shouldn't say there's not anything, but you have a lot more freedom to do creative, adventurous things that you wouldn't get to do otherwise. And so we're seeing a lot of color, a lot of texture, a lot of pattern, velvets, brocades, you name it. And if at some point I'll turn the camera around, I could show you a few of the pieces that we've done. But guys have been very adventurous. It's also it's one of the easiest things to justify when you look at where money is spent on the wedding. The groom's outfit is about the only thing that can be reused.
That's
Um,
so true.
So it's the easiest expense to justify. And so, if you're buying a regular tuxedo, you're going to be able to wear it for years and years. But even more creative formal wear can be worn both dressed up for other black tie events, but can be dressed down kind of casually too. You could take a velvet dinner jacket and throw it on with jeans and a t-shirt and wear it out on a Friday night.
Definitely. And I think that a tuxedo, a suit, anything, it's one of those purchases that it's like, it's an investment definitely worth making because you know that you're going to get multiple uses out of it.
That's right. Yeah, unlike the flowers, the invitations, and everything else, that it's a one-time thing. So
It's so true. It's so true. And, here on this podcast, we're here to like help people save a buck too. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but
yep, nothing wrong with that. We go out of our way to do right by our clients as well.
um, now you have like the expertise in fashion on what looks good versus what is like an absolute no. What are some fashion do's and fashion don'ts that you think you can share with our couples for maybe what the groom should do for their day?
Well, the biggest don't that I will caution people on is if you're doing, particularly if you're doing a more traditional wedding, if you want a classic tuxedo or you want to really present a traditional look, a tuxedo is a unique garment that is different than a suit. So off the rack, you frequently see tuxedos that have notch lapels, two buttons, flat pockets. They look like a suit that somebody put some black satin on. And that's not what it should be. A tuxedo is different. So a tuxedo should always be one button. There should never be flaps on the pocket, and it should have a peak lapel or a shawl collar. And that's just the rule, despite the fact that it is just as common off the rack to see dumbed down garments, for lack of a better term. Now, aside from that, if you want to break the rules and you want to sort of throw that out the window, that's fine. You can do that, but just be aware that that's not what a traditional tuxedo should be. Aside from that, I think you have as much freedom as you want. A couple of tips would be if you're doing a cream dinner jacket, kind of that James Bond look, it should not have silk on it. You sometimes see shiny white silk on, and you look like you're going to a prom. And that jacket is worn with black tuxedo or navy blue tuxedo trousers. So just a little tips. People sometimes get confused by that. They either want to do all white, which is fine if you want to do all white, but that's just a different choice.
I feel like even being like on the bride side, it's so tough to wear all white because what if you get that thing dirty?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
That's
not
actually
there yet.
something else we have to educate guys on is they think that they hear white dinner jacket. It is actually usually cream because they can't get wool bright white without damaging the fiber. So if you want an optic white dinner jacket, it's going to be either polyester, some type of poly blend, or cotton. The traditional, what we think of as white dinner jacket, is actually a cream dinner jacket.
Mm. I happen to really like the cream dinner jacket look with like black pants. Not like an all cream tux, that's a little much, for me. But I do like the cream dinner jacket. I think it's just like such a nice sleek look.
One other misconception that comes up a lot is when people first hear midnight blue tuxedos, they focus on the blue part of that and not the midnight part of that. A true midnight blue tuxedo actually looks blacker than black under evening light. So sometimes people come in and like, I don't want a blue tuxedo. And then I'll show them two next to each other and they're like, those are both black. And I'm like, no, one's black, one's midnight blue. But it's very hard. If I weren't right next to each other, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Now, plenty of people are doing royal or navy tuxedos that look blue, but that's a different thing. That's more of a style choice. Nothing wrong with it. They look great, but
Yeah, it's just knowing the difference and seeing the difference before saying, oh, I don't want that before. I mean, I think that we see this all the time just in general, is people being like, I definitely don't want that. And then they see it in person and they're like, oh, actually, this works for me. You end up going with what you weren't expecting to go with.
Yeah, I think people are very often, particularly with the midnight blue tuxedo, surprised, pleasantly surprised, and then they're like, "Oh, I really like that. Now I see why that's actually often the better choice."
Exactly. With so many like corona weddings going on, and we see that like they're still happening, you know, people are doing smaller dinner parties, or you know, just doing like ceremonies right now, pushing their parties back to later. um you know, I've been seeing a lot of, you know, brides who don't want to wear their dress yet. They want to save their dress, so they're going for a different look for their ceremony on the actual like date that they were supposed to, and they're going for like the suit look, like the white or the cream suit. What do you think of that?
Well, that's a trend that we've seen during Corona. More than before, we have had more weddings where we've done both the bride and the groom for that reason, where they've both opted to be in something a little more casual. Is not the right word, but you know, the bride is in say like a white suit instead of a white dress, so that she can move around. They're doing it outside. It's in the park. It's only 10 people. The full-on wedding dress maybe seems a bit much, but they still want some level of formality.
Yeah, I actually really like the look because I also think that I think like a woman like in a really tailored suit is such like a boss look. Like I personally love it.
It's also a great, even for bigger weddings, if you're doing the more traditional wedding dress, it's a great uh, costume change after, you know,
Mhm.
for the party afterwards. If you want to dance and not destroy your dress, throw on the white suit, and
Yeah.
then you're as comfortable as all the rest of your guests.
Yeah, and it's good for a lot of events leading up to the wedding too, like rehearsal dinner the night before, bridal shower, brunch the following day, because
And
I
again, it's something you can wear again afterwards too, which makes it even better.
exactly, you can wear again afterwards. And I feel like your wedding as a bride is like that time where you really get to like wear all white if you want to. So it's like for all these occasions leading up in that day, it's like wear the hell out of white. Like, you know, take it by storm.
That's right. Um, one of the other things worth mentioning back on the groom is we've had a number of situations where, I mean, I joke, we're the only bar in the city that's still open, because we do have a full bar.
Oh my God,
um,
that's so fun.
uh, where, you know, the groom, they can't really have a bachelor party or do a lot in that respect, will you know, get his groomsmen together and they'll come in here and they can get fitted. You know, doing something like a custom shirt or custom ties are great options that we're able to help the groomsmen with. You know, it's a great groomsmen gift.
Do you see a lot of people doing, I tend to see this a lot in more in like video trailers from people's weddings, that the grooms are now kind of like having the inside of their jackets like embroidered on the side with like sayings or photos, things like that.
So that's something, if you do custom, most places will let you pick your name tag. And so for wedding tuxedos, we very often will put both the bride and the groom's name, the wedding date. Although with COVID, we've had to change those multiple times for a number of folks because their
Right.
weddings have moved and then moved again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, hopefully that trend ends. But something that we do, and a handful of other custom places do as well, is we offer custom linings. And so one of my favorites was we had a client who had this beautiful picture. He proposed to his wife on top of a mountain. And so there's this picture of him down on one knee holding the ring. Somebody got this great panoramic picture. And then we put that picture in his wedding tuxedo. So the
Oh, I
picture of
love
his
that.
engagement was in what he got married in, which was really fantastic.
It's so cool because it's like, you know, I think fashion is like a big, you know, like form of like expression. And it's kind of fun to see like the grooms be able to do this now too. Like it's always been like the weddings are like all about the bride, and like I'm not going to sit here and say it's not about the bride, but like it's cool for the like groom to have like things that are like tailored like specifically to him.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's right. I mean, particularly with our clients, we see it's probably self-selecting, but we have a lot of grooms who are much more involved in the whole wedding process than your sort of typical groom, I think, would be.
Yeah. I actually, so I don't know if you like know much about like my podcast or the aesthetic or anything that I go for, but I decided when doing this like to have like a color scheme because I'm like that. Like I have to like pick a color, go with it. Like that's like me to a T. So I did this whole photo shoot and I had a purple like full length like ball gown from Lord and Taylor. It's like a really big dress, all sparkly. And like one of my dreams with it is to turn it into a suit.
Oh wow, that's
Is that
um,
possible? Or is that out of
depending on the fabric, yeah, it might very well be. There's a real trend with sustainability to reuse fabrics like that, so that you know, not that a wedding dress or whatever would end up in the landfill, but it's a great way of making use of something that already exists.
I think in like today's generation too, we see for women, especially like, women entrepreneurs, CEOs, who do get dressed every day, people in the fashion industry, they will wear suits, but they like bring it to life by giving it a pop of color. So opposed to, you of course will have like your black suit for like your very important business meetings, and then you have your color ones for when you're like, this is fun, I want to like look good but also show I'm a boss.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's my dream with the turning that purple dress into the suit. Then
Yeah.
I can get like a little like 2-for-1 action on it because I can't wear that dress
That's
again.
great.
That will be ridiculous.
I think that's a great idea.
I might have to come visit you one day.
We're not far.
Exactly. So, what kind of like projects or upcoming things should our brides and grooms look out for from Michael Andrews Bespoke?
Oh, great question. The biggest thing that we've been working on right now, we've partnered with He Spoke Style, which is one of the most widely followed menswear blogs and YouTube channels out there. Uh, we've we're basically running their whole e-commerce shop. So we've worked Brian, the author of the site. We've worked with him for 10 years. He got his first custom suit from us way back in the day, and we've continued to be good friends and make stuff for him over the years. And when he decided he wanted to launch his shop, we kind of raised our hand and said, why don't we kind of take this over for you? And it's great because it lets him focus on his creative content side. And then he basically has a bespoke workshop behind him that can make whatever it is that he wants to kind of talk about.
Yeah,
And
that's
so that's really been terrific. We made his wedding tuxedo for him, and so there's several formal wear pieces on the site, and we're looking forward to really building that out because he became a self-educated kind of menswear wedding expert, and we pride ourselves on being wedding experts. So we've concentrated some of the best expertise out there in that area. As far as other things we're working on is kind of expanding our offering of more casual wear. We've, in the last couple of years, had launched jeans, sweaters, knitwear, custom swim, and we're continuing to innovate on new, more casual pieces because the reality is fewer and fewer people are putting on a suit and tie to go to work every day. So, and we're very excited to have weddings start back up because weddings have always been a critical, important piece of our business, and we expect that to only to continue to grow in the future.
it's so true. I really cannot wait for weddings to come back. I don't want to say like full swing because I don't know if we'll see it full swing for a while, but at least some will come back because it has been so strange for like, especially a year like 2020, we had all of these like very popular, cool, trendy dates to work with. Like 10, 10, 20 would have been big, 6, 20, 20, like everybody loves, that. And it was crazy this year with so much having to push back to 2021. So hopefully now that there's the vaccine out and things seem to be, you know, hopefully opening up a little bit more.
Yeah, I remain very, very hopeful. So
Me too. But I do think that you having like a casual line is such a great option also, because the world has had to like pivot throughout this time, and so many people in our industry, I'm sure you've seen, have had to kind of pivot with what they do in business to like accommodate the new normal, which is the new normal being that we're not all going to the office every day, not everybody is like getting dressed every day. So like having a casual line is good too, because it's something that you could wear whether you're heading into the city for work or you're working from home.
yeah, no, it's been great. And I don't know how I managed to say all that without mentioning our women's line, which interestingly, our women's sales have held fairly steady. Like we've seen a decline in with our menswear sales, but I think women always want to look good. They always want to get dressed up, and I think with fewer and fewer options out there, you know, got rest in peace with some of the stores that have gone under. But
I know.
where we've seen our women's business continue to grow, which has been terrific.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I have one last question for you before I have you like kind of just like show us a little bit of the store and what you guys offer. So everybody who comes on, I ask them this question. What advice do you have for our current brides and grooms who are currently planning in the midst of a pandemic?
Well, as far as the planning goes, just remain flexible. We've got a client whose wedding for Memorial Day of last year was canceled and rescheduled for Memorial Day of this year. And we're keeping our fingers crossed that they're going to be able to pull that one off. So, um, flexibility is really the key. There, to your point, at least until the fall, I don't think we're going to see these great big weddings coming back, because we really have to have the vaccine widely distributed. So even through the summer, I think we're going to see a lot more outdoor weddings. So make sure you're dressing for the weather, and just be prepared to be comfortable and be able to pivot at the last minute. So
I think that's the best advice. It's so true. Be able to pivot and be flexible on your date, have a backup,
which is good advice no matter what, but
Totally.
in these uncertain times, more so than ever.
Yeah, I always say to people, because my bat mitzvah, which was like a very long time ago, but it was like in the middle of winter. It was like on a snowstorm of like 2 feet of snow. And like the party went on, like luckily, like everything was fine. Like pretty much everybody made it. But I always say, like, people who plan parties during the winter, they kind of always have to have like a little bit of a backup plan. I mean, this is if you live in a cold climate, but now it's like no matter what, it doesn't matter what season, it doesn't matter what state you're in, it doesn't matter. Like just have like a little bit of a backup plan.
Yeah, weather is more unpredictable and everything else. So
It's so true. All right, so let's see. You want to give us a little bit of a tour?
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to flip this camera around here. So, quick little 360 of the shop. If you were coming in, you'd be coming in through the front door. We're closed right now. That's why the gate's down. And then, like I mentioned, we have our full bar here. And, that's a function of men more so than women, but, women to some degree too. Guys don't like to shop, and so, but they like to drink and hang out with other guys. And so the first thing we do is when someone comes in, we'll sort of sit down and talk to them about what it is that they want and have a drink, and they relax, and then we can help design some great clothes for them. I was showing you earlier, so here's a couple of our tuxedos. This right here is midnight blue. The biggest difference between the midnight blue and the black is, let's see, the light's a little tough if I do that. Is it lets the lapels stand off from the jacket a little bit more. So there's a little bit more differentiation between the black satin on the lapel and the fabric itself. And then next to it, which is actually covered by an overcoat right now, is usually our black version, so that you can see kind of black against the blue. And then this overcoat, we've put a mink collar on it just to give it a little bit of elevation. And then here's a whole bunch of other different formal wear options. Kind of going down the row here is kind of, again, a classic black tuxedo. We've got a blue one next to it. Here's your classic white. Now here's your actual real, that's your.
Oh, I love that.
Right, there's your true navy blue tuxedo.
Oh, look at that red velvet.
Oh, and you'll like this. We were talking about custom linings.
Love that.
So this is the red velvet with the King of New York in it.
Oh my God. That is so cool. That is definitely for a very specific groom.
That would definitely be for a very specific groom.
I love that.
And then last, I'll show you this over here. Again, we were talking about, here's our cream dinner jacket. And this is next to an outfit, a woman's outfit that I'm going to pull this out here into the light a little bit more. Yeah, it's a green velvet dress jacket. And so you can wear this with heels and stockings, so that, or tights, and as a dress, and it looks beautiful. But you can also put it on over jeans and sneakers as a long jacket. It's really super versatile, very flattering. We found that longer jackets like this that come down, well below a woman's seat, are very elongating. And so if somebody has a little, extra that they want to camouflage, it's a great option for that.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and then maybe lastly here, I'll highlight, this is a woman's white tuxedo.
Ooh.
And again, this is a great option, both for someone who wants to change out of their wedding dress after the ceremony, but also then we've done a lot of this for same-sex weddings, where both the brides are not necessarily going to be in a wedding dress.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. I like the all white, like, tux look. I think that, like, even if you're not a bride, like, it can definitely be used, and it could like look really nice even for work, or for just like fashion, just for a night out too.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have a hard time because I spill things on myself, but.
Oh, me too. Like, it's not for me because, like, I need to be in dark colors, but like for somebody who's careful,
yeah,
it's a gold mine.
Yeah, well, I love white. I order brand new white pants every season because I'm only going to get one season's wear out of them. But
I feel like I had a year where I like definitely was like, I'm gonna start wearing white pants, and I bought 2 pairs and I did wear them, but like every time I wore them, I got them dirty, and it was not the same by the end of the season. I was like, okay, I might really not be meant for this.
Fortunately, my fiance always carries shout wipes around with her wherever we go to keep me clean. So,
well, you hold on to her because she sounds like a keeper. Well, first of all, Michael, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Oh, such a pleasure.
It's been fun. We're going to definitely have to meet one day in person at your shop. I'm gonna have to bring my purple dress, so you can tell me if it's a
project.
Yeah, if it's a possibility. You might think I'm crazy after you see it, but it's worth a shot.
Worth a shot.
So for everybody, let everybody know where they should follow you on Instagram to kind of like get some inspiration for their special day.
We're Michael Andrews Bespoke on Instagram, or you can visit us at michaelandrews.com. And we're located at 2 Great Jones Alley, which is in the heart of NoHo in Manhattan.
Very nice. And they are open right now. They are catering to micro weddings, ceremonies, getting ready for, weddings to really come back in full swing, like very soon. um, and honestly, just like your everyday wear, if you're looking for, some casual items as well to just like hang in your closet. So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of The Bride Tender, where we have new episodes every single Monday. You can subscribe and listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and pretty much anywhere that you listen to podcasts, because we're on every streaming platform now. And of course, make sure to watch this on YouTube so you can get some inspiration for your special day and see some options that could work for you. If you're not already following me, please follow me at The Bride Tender on Instagram, where I share fun facts on the wedding industry, ways to save money on your special day, and hiring the best in the business to execute on your wedding day. Go follow Michael at Michael Andrews Bespoke and get some inspiration for your special day and for your everyday wear. Maybe you need some new items in that closet. It's a new year, it's 2021. It's time to freshen up. Until next week, mix yourself a cocktail, slide into my DMs with questions you want answered on all things weddings. Stay sane, stay healthy, and we'll catch you next week. Bye.